Every now and again I look at a boat and I think, Smuggler's Blues 3? Well, this is one of those boats. This is a Princess V39. It's a 2016 boat, and this would suit me very well indeed. And I'll give you a full tour of this one, and I'm going to show you exactly why, because I think these are a really great boat. Let's go and have a look. Now, what I like about Princess boats, and the small ones in particular, is the fact that they don't compromise on quality. So as we go around here, I'll point things out to you, but this is very much the quality of the larger boats. And so you get facilities like the high-low bathing platform on this one. That is an option when these were new, but this boat has it, which means you can have a rib on here, as we've got at the minute, and lower that into the water. Another interesting option is that the standard boat has the seating around the back, and it just comes across here and stops normal seating. What they've done on this one, and it wasn't extra when the boat was new, is add this area on the back. And what this means is that you can slide this section here. You can see it moves there on tracks. Can't do it very well from where I am on this side. Slide that out to there and make that into a small sunbathing area. But what's great about it is you don't lose cockpit space, as you often do with extended sun pads on boats. And what they've done then is they've scarped it out, as you can see here, so the dinghy then goes underneath it, so you don't lose dinghy space either. So that's quite clever. Let's go and have a look on board. We're going to do all areas, of course. I'm going to start with the cockpit and the cabin, but we'll work our way around to the outside and the engines afterwards. There is a big seating area in here. It's a really social boat. So there's masses of space for people to relax. And then you've got this big folding table. So if you want to dine around here, you can do that. And that's catered for by a wet bar over on this side. So underneath here, this particular boat actually is a really high spec. It's one of the most high spec I've seen. So it's got things like the grill on it. It's also got air conditioning on this one, which is unusual. And a few other bits that we'll discover as we go on around. Underneath here, there's a bin, so it's very practical. Loads of storage. And then under this one, you've got a fridge, top loading. So you can keep all your drinks in there. This is just a massive locker. So this guy has got life jackets and other bits and pieces in there, which is a good idea, where they can be easily reached. And in fact, there is another big locker back underneath the back seat, and you can access that from the outside as well. So that's quite a neat trick. One thing you get on all Princess V39s is an open-backed hardtop. What I mean by that is, this is all cockpit, this is all outside area, but you do have this rigid structure above it. And on this one, you've also got the extended canopy, so you've got shade out to the back. But what this means is that with a push of a button, and I'm not going to do it because it's been raining for about the last hour, so it's probably soaking wet, but all of this fabric section will motor back electrically. And then you've got this all open. It's all open here at the back. You can of course take these canopies off if you want, and you can transform this very easily then into a very open feeling boat. But with it closed, push the button, wind it forward, suddenly you've got shelter. So that works well. Some nice lighting in here as well. The thing with this hardtop is you can put lights across the back, as this one's got, and also you can see pin lights down the side. They're on both sides. So at night, this is really well lit. They've raised the cockpit very slightly further forward, so you've got a bit more visibility. You can step up again here, and this is a great area for people to sit or just relax and chill out like Maggie's doing at the moment. Lovely area when the boat's underway. You're under the shelter of this screen. You can chat to the people at the helm, or you could have maybe 3 people sat around there, 2 people on here. And that means everyone's together, everyone's under the shelter of the screen. Great place to be when you're cruising down the coast. And the helm itself is over here. This one's got the Raymarine hybrid touch on, so this has got the physical buttons, and it's also a touch screen, so you can just touch that and you can go into chart, for example. As we've got there, we're in Sultan's Marina at the moment. What else have we got on here? There's a bow thruster on this boat. You've got the normal instrumentation, so your speed, your depth. This one's also got autopilot on it. That's what this one here is, so that when you're cruising long distance, you can set that and it will hold the boat on a course for you. And that Princess detailing I mentioned, look at this, they've weighted this. You see this on the bigger boats, but it's even on this one. So that wherever you put the steering wheel, your Princess crown is the right way up. I like the fact they've put this low glare on here, so it doesn't reflect in the screen. Your engine controls are here, of course. This one's on outdrive, so you trim the outdrives with this switch just here, and there's trim tabs on here as well. That one's the VHF radio. Also here, these seats have lift bolsters. So you can drop that up and stand and lean against that. And in fact, this one's also got a drop down section. You can see it down here, so that you can stand on that, have that up and put your head up through the roof. So you don't have to be behind the screen if you don't want to on a hot day, or if you're maneuvering and you want to get a bit more view, you can open the roof and you can look out over the top of the screen. So that is a very nice cockpit arrangement. But where I think these boats really excel is when we head down here into the cabin. Now these are quite a traditional layout, so a cabin at each end, which I'll show you in a moment, but again, beautifully finished. So you've got things like a massive skylight in the ceiling. This one has got the light wood. This is an oak wood. A lot of these had cherry or walnut in, but this light wood, it gives it a real beach house feel, and it makes the whole boat feel a bit more spacious. And I like the fact they've done this contrasting dark brown here, so it really sets it off. It stops it becoming insipid because you've got that nice contrast. And look at the way that the grain follows perfectly right the way through. You don't find a different grain on different sections where you've got opening doors, for example, as this has. So these are big storage lockers in behind here. There's also blinds that drop down, and these portholes will open. You see these little catches, which means you can tilt those up and get a bit of air through here if you want to. There's a table down here, of course, so you can dine down here, and there's a TV in here as well, and the bar is underneath it. So this is for glasses and bottles and that kind of thing. And then next to that is the galley. And again, it's all very practical. So you've got big drawers for things like pans, which is something you can normally never find space for. Loads of storage in places like that. That's another bin. And then this little area here, well, they've used that for drawers. So you can have your cutlery in there. And again, all of these, as you can see, they're all soft close. That's a fridge in that one. I really like the glass splashback they put all the way around here. I think that looks great. And then more storage up here, so that's for your crockery. And then on this side you've got the distribution panel, so that is all the electrics for the boat. You've got your 230 volt stuff on this side, so things like the microwave, the water heater, the sockets, the battery charger, all the stuff that runs either from the shore power, or on this boat, another option, it's got a generator, so you can run all that stuff from the generator if you're not plugged into the shore power in the marina. And then this side is all your 12 volt stuff, so things like your cabin lights, your toilet lights, stereo, fresh water system. You'll notice it's got fridge twice, and that's because it's dual voltage. When you're out at sea, it runs off the 12 volt system. As soon as you plug into the marina or fire out generator, it can run off the 240 volt because that's quite high load, so it means it doesn't run your batteries down any more than it needs to. So that, again, very nice bit of engineering. That fellow there, that's the Fusion Hi-Fi system. So that is your saloon, and up at the front, master cabin. Look at that, that's really lovely. Lots of space. Again, masses of storage solutions. This is all storage up and behind here. And that's all the way around. There's a big wardrobe on this side. You've got to bear in mind this boat's under 40 feet, so to have got all this in it, I think is a really great job. And it's beautifully trimmed. Look at where they've done all this headlining, all this soft touch vinyl. Really nice, and very much the same as you get on the much bigger Princesses. They've put two hatches in here. One of them's an opening one, that front one opens for ventilation or another way out the boat, and then they put a second one in so that you've got more light into here. And you can probably just see that little fella there. That is a blind that comes across, and there's probably one, yes, here we go. So you've got one going that way, and the one that pulls that way is like a fly screen, so if it's a bit mosquito-y, it stops the blighters coming in. Also on here, a little tiny dressing table. Very nice, and there's big drawers under the bed as well, like so, for extra bedding, clothing, whatever you want to put in there. There's one heads on this boat, and that is in here, and you'll notice it has two doors. The idea of this is it can be ensuite to this cabin, or it can be accessed straight from the main saloon area without going into the cabin. So if we open this, again, really good size. Considering this is a sub 40 foot sports cruiser, there's very little compromise. Separate shower stall, as you can see, and then you've got your loo, of course, and you've got your sink in it. So Perrin and Row bowl, again, like you find on the more expensive boats, and all this, again, just like you'd find on maybe a 50 or 60 foot Princess. No feeling of compromise on there at all. This is yet more storage. And there's a blind that comes down so that you can have a bit of privacy there if you need it. Nice though, isn't it? Even the flooring there, the way they've tiled that, beautiful. And in fact, it's worth mentioning the flooring here as well, because normally these have carpet, but this one's been done in the oak flooring, which I think is very nice. And you'll notice these traps in the floor. These are access. So underneath this one, for example, we can lift that out, And down there is the bilge pumping system for this area. There's a pump in here as well. I think that's probably a water pump. So it just allows people to get to areas if there's any work needs to be doing, any maintenance, that kind of thing. And this is a classic Princess feature. You see this blue label here. Everything, plumbing, wiring, everything is labelled at both ends, so that when people are doing maintenance on the boat, they know exactly what everything does and where it goes. So we've got our master cabin at the front. We've got this area here. This, in fact, will convert to more sleeping. You'll see it's on a telescopic leg. You can drop that table down, put a cushion on it, another double bed. So if you want extra sleeping, you've got it there. But there's a guest cabin back here. And again, for a sub 40-foot sports cruiser, this is a really nice piece of design. So you've got full standing headroom as you come into here. If I point the camera that way, you can see I'm 6'2". I can walk around here, no problem at all. And then it drops a little bit over the beds, because of course that is the cockpit floor. So what it's doing is it's using this space twice. That's the helm, and in fact, where Maggie sat on that seat that sort of curves around next to the helm, that's the base of it there, going around there. So it just shows how they've really utilised the space in here. So you've got foot space on the outside, but then where the seat is, well, that's up there giving you the headroom. Very clever. Two big adult beds in here. Again, big windows, as you can see on the far side there, and that circular bit is an opening section. And these have got drawers underneath as well, so more storage. But there is a big wardrobe in here and more shelving. So again, even as a guest on this boat, you're really well catered for. And there's also this big seat here, so that if you want to get away from the main party, tuck yourself away with a good book, well then you can do it. Let's go and have a look around the outside. So just to show you again, that cutout there is that foot space there. Isn't that neat? Another good option on this boat, it's got the low level lighting. You can see it dotted around. That at night is lovely. Just gives you nice subtle lighting throughout the cockpit. Let's go and have a look around the outside, and then we'll finish up with the engines and I'll tell you about the performance. That's the switch, the high-low switch for the bathing platform, so that you can lower that to launch the tender. I'll slip my shoes on. And look at the way the drains are stainless steel rather than plastic. This is what I mean about the quality of these boats. All these fittings, all stainless steel. I like the fact they put nice practical steps up here, and the rail comes all the way back. So as soon as you step out onto this area, you're held in by the rail, and another rail along here. That works well. And this is that sliding roof section. So all of this motors all the way back, and that's why I didn't want to open that and show you, because as you can see it's got a bit of water on it at the moment. Big one-piece windscreen and huge pantograph wipers. And then up here, these tracks are so that you can put sunbeds on here and have this as a sunbathing area. And then right at the front, those are those hatches over that forward cabin. That's the opening one. And right at the front, you've got your anchor there ready to be deployed, big cleats. These are buttons to operate the anchor winch. So they're underneath there, down and up. And that fella is the chain locker. And you see that stainless steel bracket, that's to put a couple of fenders in. So you don't have to cart them back to the cockpit. You can just drop them in there out of the way. Let's go all the way around and head back down this side. Just feel a nice big solid boat when you're up here. Up on top of the boat, we've got VHF antennas, and the other one I think is a radio antenna. The horns are on here, of course. There's a Raymarine radar on this one, and that little chap there, that is a searchlight. It's remote control, so you can control that from the helm, and navigation lights up on the top. So everything's up and out the way. Let's go right back. More steps down here. That brings us back to this area, and in fact we'll go all the way around. I think it's probably easiest. You can clamber over the seats, but I don't want to do that on somebody else's boat. And we'll go back in here. Actually, one thing I didn't point out, which I can do this time, transom shower. So it's a hot water shower when you come out of swimming. Perfect. Now the engines are under the floor here. So if you lift that fella, another of those fender racks, so you can put fenders in there out of the way. And again, it's just those are the sorts of things that are always hard to find places for. So it's great to have that there, because this is just dead space when that hatch is shut. There's a ladder down into the engine room. And down here we find the motors. Now these are a pair of Volvo Pentas. They are D6 330s, so they're 330 horsepower each. They're straight six, turbo diesel and also supercharged. They're going to give the boat, I'm thinking mid to high 30s. I'm guessing 35 to 38 knots, that sort of area flat out, but it means that you can cruise at around 30 knots, 28, 30 knots very comfortably, and that's covering ground. Range, well, at that sort of speed, I'm going to guess 300 miles, something like that. That would be my guess. Everything very nicely get-atable. So you've got a decent bit of height above the engines. And again, everything's really nicely routed. And as you look around, you can see these little labels here, here. This one, for example, air conditioning raw water inlet. So you know exactly what that is. If you had a leak from that, you'd know where it's coming from, you know what it was about. Fuel tanks on the outside, you can see the fuel filters for them just there. And this particular boat has a generator. Very useful thing because this one's got air conditioning, which means that you can run the aircon even if you're away from the marina berth. Otherwise you need a 240 volt shore power. Battery management systems, they're out there, and those big white boxes, those are the battery boxes. Even the vents for the battery box, you can just see, I don't know whether you can actually read it from where you are, but it says battery box vent on it. So again, you know exactly what it is. It's attention to detail and it's brilliant. It's really good. Another battery box on this side, and in fact there's a couple of auxiliary batteries there as well. I would imagine those are probably generator starting because they look like options. And look at the way all this is routing for things like cockpit drains and that kind of stuff all into one place and then out of the boat. So you don't have loads of holes down the side of the boat, you just have one, and there's even a seacock on it, so you could close that off if you wanted to, if you ever had a problem. Very nicely engineered, very Princess. Even here, circuit breakers, but look up here. It's labelled with exactly what they are, the rating of them, everything. So if someone's working on the boat, they're not thinking, well, I wonder what that is, I wonder what that one's for. You can see it straight away. Fire extinguishing system in here as well, that's automatic. And then more fender racks. Excellent. You've probably gathered that I'm quite taken with this boat. And no, I'm not going to buy it. Sadly, it's a little out of my league at the moment, but who knows, maybe one day. Let's go and sit up there with Maggie. Let's drop that fella back down. What do you think of the boat, Maggie? I think she's asleep. There we go. So that is a 2016 Princess V39. Very taken with that. Huge thanks to Christian Moore from Moore Yachts for setting that one up for me. I will put his details in the description because he's got this fine ship for sale, so give him a shout if you're interested. Huge thanks to you, of course, as ever, for watching. And if you've not subscribed, do me a big favour, hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. It really helps the channel, and it will also let you know when new videos are uploaded. And we'll look forward very much to catching you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.